Hello, welcome back to Football League World TV. It's time for the latest fan debate on the channel, and here we're looking at Cardiff City's transfer window. I'm your host, Dagless, and joining me this afternoon is Ben Johnsey from the Bluebirds podcast. Ben, how are you?
Good. I could be a bit better. Frustrated one on the weekend, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah, we'll try not to talk about the weekend too much, Ben. We'll talk purely January transfer window in the next 20 minutes or so. We're across YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Cardiff fans, do get in touch with us on those three channels. Let us know what you've made of the January window so far and what you're hoping for in the final 2 weeks of the window. Let's get straight into the show. Ben, it makes sense to just talk in general first of all. What have you made of the opening couple of weeks or so of the market from a Cardiff City perspective?
Weirdly promising. I kind of went into it a bit hesitant. I mean, we stopped our summer transfers really early, and it was clear for the last month or so that we weren't going to make another signing. And I really did not expect much in this window. If we didn't sign a single player, I would not have been surprised. Just because the money situation with Cardiff at the minute is not good, and that's been made clear by the board and everyone. Sort of, and Dowman himself has said a few times that not to expect too many transfers, but we've gone into it quite well. We've signed Drama from Leeds, which seemed a bit of an out there signing. Came sort of quite by surprise. The fact he's a right back, we're quite weirdly stocked in the right back role. Well, we thought we were, and then Morrison's made it clear that he believes Tom Sang's a midfielder. But yeah, it's quite surprising, really. We've got a few links to some good players, and it looks like we could be expecting a few more through the door.
Let's talk Cody Drama then. Obviously, he's coming pretty early on in the window. Ben, as you mentioned, Morrison has sort of hinted that there was a need for an extra player in that position, perhaps to the surprise of some Bluebirds fans. What do you make of the the initial signs of drama at Cardiff in from Leeds?
Well, it was a surprise to us. It also seemed to be a surprise to Leeds fans as well, which I guess is always positive. If you've got a Premier League club and their fans are asking why they facilitated this move, then clearly the kid's got something about him, and he really does. We saw him briefly. He didn't complete 90 minutes against Blackburn, assuming he's not played as much football this season, so maybe he wasn't quite fit enough. But from what we saw, he looked really good. He looked really energetic. Made a couple good tackles. Went forward quite well, and didn't really. He didn't light it on fire, but he also wasn't any noticeable mistakes, and he really had a solid first game. So he's definitely one I'm excited to see where he can go towards the end of the season. We've had some good loan signings as of late with Ryan Giles, which I'm sure we'll get into a bit later. But yeah, he's looked a top player, and as I said, it's always good to sign a player on loan and to see the fans asking why he's not playing in the first team, especially in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean that is a positive time. What are you hoping for in the next few months from him, Ben? Are the expectations particularly high given the reaction from Leeds fans to the exit?
Well, there's probably going to be quite a bit of pressure coming in because we're a side that needs to turn around. We're a side that needs our form um, to pick up, and especially in defence, our defensive struggles has been horrific. I can't remember the last time we kept a clean sheet. I will be honest, and we needed some pace, and especially with Giles going, that creativity from our fullbacks is going to be key now, and he's going to need to step up and hopefully take the reins from that. And from what I've seen, he looks decent. He put some good crosses in, made some good runs. I actually think he had a shot on goal at one point. So positive signs. And in the next few months, we're just going to be hoping for him to come in. Like I said, pick up that attacking fullback role is what we're looking for, and hopefully he can excel there.
Let's talk about two players that have been recalled now as well by Cardiff: Max Watters and Ryan Wintle. Two players are out on loan early stages of this season, and Cardiff have opted to record them. What do you make of those decisions?
I always thought with Watters, I thought he would be one that would stay out on loan. I originally had the opinion that he should. I thought he's not really played too much pro football. I think he is 20, 21, 22, but still, he's only actually had about 18 months, 2 years in the pro game because he was non-league and then sort of went to Leighton Orient, and I think it was Leighton. Sorry, I might have got that wrong. He done really well in that half season. We signed him, and I still think that's quite an exciting signing. Harris, it kind of looked like it maybe wasn't his signing. He played one game, just looked marked out the game, didn't quite get the opportunity, and then stayed the rest of the season in the academy. And then he's gone out on loan to MK Dons and started slowly, but really picked up and looked a key player for them. At first, I'd say to stay for him to stay there, but our current situation, our current attacking situation, we need goals desperately. Our strikers aren't scoring enough. I'm big fans of Isaac Davies and Mark Harris, but I just think they're not quite clinical enough. They're not necessarily out and out strikers. And Waters just seems to have that striker's edge about him. He seems to have that finishing ability and sort of the nous to get him behind. And if he was through on goal, I'd expect him to find the net. And that's exactly what we're going to be hoping from him. I'm not going to put all our hopes on and hang our coat on him for the end of the season. But I'm going to be hoping that he can come in and grab a couple goals and add a bit of energy to that front line. And then going forward with Wintle, I think he's a very good player. Why we ever loaned him out in the first place, I don't know. It was a shot. We signed him and we thought, right, okay, he's maybe going to be coming in as our starting midfielder. He was very good at Crewe, and Crewe fans were very sad when he left. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a good, solid defensive midfielder that's apparently also got a good passing nous about him. And then we just loaned him, and everyone was a bit shocked. He didn't really get any minutes or any opportunity under McCarthy, and he seemed to be out the door as quickly as he was in. And it was a surprising one. And then he went to Blackpool and was doing outstanding there, while our midfield was faltering at times. So I think I wasn't really surprised when he came back. It was kind of what I was expecting, especially under a new manager. And since he's come in, the couple games he's played, he's been very solid. Once again, not necessarily been done anything of note, but for Cardiff at the minute in the position we're in, not necessarily standing out of big mistakes is one of the key things we need to get consistency wise.
I suppose as well, it shows particularly with Wintle the change in idea that Steve Morrison has had compared to when Mick McCarthy was in charge, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We've had a big brand change of football, and I think it's one of those ones that it could have been, maybe we could have had better opportunities previously to change, and we've maybe put ourselves in a bit of a risk to change now, but I still feel it was needed. If I could get someone else in that would have maybe get us a few more wins at this stage, but definitely keep us up, but then still be playing that brand of football like a Tony Pulis or something, I don't think I would swap. I'm very happy with Morrison, even though we have had a bit of a roller coaster ride in terms of wins and losses under him. And I do trust him, and I feel Winter will slot in well, and he has slotted in well in a couple of games. And we've already in the midfield and our passing looked so much better than previous before he came back. So definitely excited to see where he can go, where our style of football can go. And as long as we stay up next season, hopefully we'll have a bit of optimism about it.
Okay. One player that has left with his loan at Cardiff coming to an end, Wolves recalled him, Ryan Giles. Obviously, he was having a good season for Cardiff. I think it's fair to say 9 assists in the Championship. What do you make of this one, Ben? Are you disappointed?
Devastated, really. It's the only way to put it. He was our attack, really. As much as I love Kiefer Moore, he hadn't quite been the same this season. I think he had COVID at the start of the year, maybe just hasn't quite got into the flow of things. And Giles really stepped up. He was the top assister for quite a while. I believe he still might be joint top. I'm not sure now. But he was amazing. He would always down that left hand side from the wing back role. He was key, and his crosses were always brilliant, and his set piece deliveries were always brilliant, and made us a danger in those in those areas, and I think against Blackburn, we saw how much we missed him. The amount of times where you thought I could notice, I just thought if Giles was running down that left side now, we probably would have scored and could have won that game because I felt we were the better teams in terms of possession and in terms of um, the overall play. But going forward, we were terrible, and
Mm.
I feel if he was in there, he would have made that key difference. So replacing him is going to be very hard. There has been some rumours that he could still come back. Wolves have got to make their um, sort of decision on him, but I don't know if I can see it myself. But yeah, it's a devastating loss, and we have to replace him. Um, that's just how it is. We have to replace him.
Yeah, I mean that kind of brings me to the next question on Giles, Ben. If Wolves decide that he's not coming back to Cardiff for the rest of the season, how do you replace a player like that? Are there certain players that you've seen that you'd potentially like to come in? I mean, it's a tough task for Cardiff. You don't envy them in that respect.
It's one of those things where I don't necessarily know there is many like for like replacements, especially that we're going to attract. I don't think we're going to attract a player of his level right
Mm,
now. I think when we got him, he had either been misused previously or just not quite shown what he can do. I mean, he is a top player, so replacing him is going to be hard. I think maybe we push more through the middle, try and get a wing back in, or leave Perry Ng, who seems to play better on that left hand side sometimes than on the right. So almost leave Perry there and then bring in a good attacking midfielder to try and replace the creativity. And maybe change it up a little bit, and whether we look for a like for like replacement or add creativity elsewhere. We've seen the likes of Tommy Doyle, who's been linked, and once again, I'm sure we'll get onto him a bit later.
mm,
Um, it's just once again, it's hard. It's hard to throw names out there because we just don't, as fans right now, we just don't know what's available if we can sign someone on a permanent. I mean, a permanent transfer just seems that far fetched at the minute from a Cardiff point of view that it's hard. I think we'll end up probably, like I said, either Tommy Doyle or an attacking midfielder coming in to potentially add some creativity through the middle and try and shake up that midfield a little bit more.
mm. Let's talk Tommy Doyle now, then, Ben. Steve Morrison has been quite open in saying that Cardiff are interested in trying to get something done, but he didn't want to go into it too much until I think things are confirmed in that respect. What have you seen of Doyle? Have you seen much of him? Obviously, he's at Manchester City, so there's obviously talent there. He's the sort of player. Do you think that would help Cardiff in their fight against the drop from the Championship for the rest of the season?
Definitely, he hasn't had much game time in Germany, which I'm not too worried about. It's two completely different leagues, and there's obviously different barriers and different obstacles that come up when you're playing abroad. So I'm not too worried about that. Um, I've spoke to a couple of people I know that are Man City fans who all of them have said he's been very good. He's played a number of games for Man City in Champions League Cup competitions. So once again, it's one of those things, same as drama. You don't do that unless you've got something about you, and
Mm,
especially under Pep Guardiola. And he definitely looks a good player. From what I've seen, he's a bit of a set piece specialist, good on a free kick, which is we actually don't. I can't remember probably since Wits. I don't think we've had a player that can score from a free kick. So, um, or probably Tomlin actually tell a lie. Tomlin was very good at it, but so hopefully he'll add a bit of dynamism in that, and also his set piece deliveries from corners also look to be very good, which we have lost in Ryan Giles. So if
mm,
we do get that across the line, hopefully that will help to bring that through. And yeah, he looks a good player. What role he's going to play is one that's bringing up questions amongst myself and Cardiff fans. Of we have got a lot of central midfielders. He had 11 assists, I believe, in his time in the Premier League 2 division for Man City. Um, so maybe we push him forward as a bit more of a number 10. I'm not too sure. Um, but it's one of those ones I can't say I'm not going to say I've watched him play a load of times, but from what I've seen of him and from what I've heard of him, it seems a very promising signing from a Cardiff point of view.
yeah, it certainly could be one to watch if it goes through in the second half of the season. two linked exits, Ben. Let's get on to them now. Kiefer Moore's one of them. Now, he's a player that quite regularly we see getting linked away from Cardiff, or we have done in the recent past. And Mark Harris as well has been linked away in recent weeks. So Steve Morrison said on both of them that he hasn't heard any official calls or anything like that, or anything from agents or players about wanting to leave. So we'll get that out there first of all. That is kind of pure speculation at the moment. But let's talk Kiefer Moore first of all. Linked with the likes of Bournemouth and Burnley now as well, given that Chris Woods left Turf Moor to head to Newcastle United. With the more rumours, do you get particularly concerned when they come round, or do you kind of accept that with a player like him, even though he's perhaps had a quieter year than he did last year, that these sort of storylines are always going to be hanging around him?
Yeah, definitely. I think, as you said, and as Morrison put it perfectly, if a player scores 20 goals in the Championship, they're going to be linked away. And especially in our position, teams could be trying to look to take advantage of maybe trying to get him a bit cheaper. From what we've read and what's been reported, it seems very much that Cardiff are in a stance of where it seems to be 10 million or nothing. I hope they stick to that. It's one that doesn't shock me now. When it was this summer and he was linked to Wolves on the final day, and in hindsight, obviously Wolves bid just was nowhere near the valuation of Moore, but it was bedlam. We thought, what are we going to do with this long left in the window? But by now, through conversations I've had with people leading up to January transfer window, we were fully expecting him to be linked away. Myself, I was actually almost expecting him to move, but it's one of those ones where I don't blame him. He's 29. He was playing non-league at 24, 25. If a Premier League club or a club that's going to be in the Premier League next season in for him and he does go, I'm not going to have any issues with him. In terms of Cardiff, is concerning because I personally don't think there's another Kiefer Moore in the EFL. I don't think we replace him. His mix of pace, power, heading ability, but then also his skill on the ball. I don't know who we find. Maybe a Michael Smith at Rotherham, but then you lose the pace and it's more just of a target man then. And trying to replace him is going to be very hard, especially if we get 10 million. We're not going to spend 10 million. How much of that money actually goes back into the transfers? So it's one that I hope kind of just dies down. And he is off injured at the minute, so I almost hope him being away from the Cardiff lineup can almost sort of keep that under wraps a little bit and not bring out too many people interested in him, and hopefully he stays to the end of the season. I can't see him staying much further past that. But then from the other point of view, you also look at it as if Cardiff can get money for him now, because his contract's not ridiculously long. I think by the end of this year, you're looking at the fee expected going down because of his contract situation. So do Cardiff, if they're going to spend the money, do they cash in now and try and replace him and get someone in who is maybe going to be coming in with a bit of confidence? Because Moore's head's just not quite been in it as of late with international and obviously transfer speculation and different things like that. He recently sacked his agent as well, which kind of hints that maybe his agent didn't push through the move he was hoping for. So it's one to see. It is a concerning one, but it's not a surprising one, and I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, certainly, perhaps one to watch in the next couple of weeks at least. As for Mark Harris, Ben, St. Pauli in Germany are being credited with an interest in him. Again, Morrison, as we've mentioned, has kind of played that down and said he's not heard anything official in that respect. But what do you think of that one?
What I could say when he was on loan at Wrexham in non-league a couple of years ago, I never thought would come through a transfer rumor like that. But personally, this one I don't see happening. Harris is a key player for us. It's not like we're going to get a ridiculously high fee for him. It would almost end up being under $1 million or just over, if that. And I think he is a very good player. He's a runner. He will not stop running, and he plays for the badge. He is Cardiff through and through. And I don't think right now in a relegation battle we can afford to lose a head like that in the dressing room. Someone who wears their heart on their sleeve, and players like that grabbing goals as well is what can be crucial for us in this time. So personally, I can't see it happening, and personally, I really don't want it to happen. Um, Against Blackburn, he was one of the standout performers for us. He looked brilliant, really. He multiple times broke past players, found space, good opportunities. He does need a striker next to him who has a bit of a presence about them and can help give him a bit more space. That's what Moore's very good at in dragging defenders away from Harris. Um, they can give Harris a bit more space, and then also who can get some goals himself, because there was a few times Harris created some good opportunities. So yeah, for myself, I really don't want him to go, and I can't see it happening. But we'll see what comes of it. He's often linked away. He was linked away with loan moves in the summer, but
Mm.
I think most Cardiff fans would react quite poorly if he was to suddenly leave.
Okay. Finally, then Ben, we've got about 2 weeks left in the transfer window before the end of the month and the deadline. What are your hopes for Cardiff in terms of incomings, and are there any sort of exits you can see happening in terms of fringe players and perhaps some youngsters going out on loan? What are you expecting for the next 2 weeks?
Um, I think I'm hoping another couple more signings. I think we definitely need either to replace Giles with an attacking left wing back, or um, a forward, so potentially a striker, to help to still. We've got quite a few strikers on the books, but I do feel maybe we could push Isaac Davies out to the wing and bring in an out and out striker. Once again, who I don't know, because it's the money Cardiff have got available. I wouldn't mind. I'd love Cardiff to go after the likes of Johnson Clark Harris, or different good, or Corley Woodrow is another name that I've always liked, but I just don't think we've got the money at this point. So it's trying to find those loans, or trying to find the cheaper options. Another position we desperately, I believe, we need is a centre half. Um, Morrison and Flint are just a bit not quite being what they once were this season.
Mm.
Morrison's actually been on the bench for a few games, and Flint, the same. He's been linked to Sunderland recently. That's one exit that could come to fruition. But I believe we were linked to Jonathan Panzo, who looks a wonderful centre half, and if we could get him in as a long term replacement, that would be a wonderful signing for Cardiff. Um, so yeah, if Flint or Morrison is to go either in this window, and likely both of them could be leaving in the summer anyway, with their contracts coming to an end, a centre half could be key. In terms of different players leaving, as I said, Flint, I think, is one of the only ones that, other than Moore and other linked players, that could leave. There's a few academy players that could go out on loan, the likes of Keenan Patton, who's been very good in that academy midfield, in an academy that went 11 games winning in a row. So I feel there could be a lot of interest in in that setup. Joyce Amenyo, who's the brother of the player at Bristol City, he also could end up going out on loan. He's really impressed in the few months he's been there. So there's a few different players from that academy that definitely could find some loan time in the EFL. But I think that's the key thing. If they can't find find loans in the EFL, I think they should probably just stick around and get in that title that they're very much looking to win for that league. So it's going to be an interesting last few weeks. I can't see it being massively eventful. Probably just a couple signings here and there, maybe one or two outgoings, but nothing too. We definitely won't be splashing the cast. That's for sure.
Okay, we will see what happens in the final 2 weeks of the window at Cardiff City. That's been the fan debate, the Cardiff City fan debate on Football League World TV. We've been assessing the Bluebirds' January transfer window so far and what we can expect from them in the next couple of weeks. Ben, thanks for joining us. Before we let you go, where's the best place to catch your Cardiff City musings?
So go follow me on the Bluebirds podcast, which we post different news from all around the UK. Whenever big news comes out about Cardiff, we're always up to date on that and getting that out there. So go follow that. Also follow my main Twitter as well. It's just my name, Ben Johnsey. I've got a big piece coming out soon, actually an exclusive interview with ex Manchester United legend. So really, really looking forward to that one coming out. And if that's something you're interested in, definitely go and follow on them.
Okay, great stuff. Do get on that, people watching at home and wherever you are watching from. Quick plug as well for Football League World TV. You can catch us on YouTube. Do remember to subscribe to our channel and do like this video as well. That'll help us as we continue to try and grow things at the start of 2022. Coming up on the channel later on today, 2:30 sees another fan debate, this time looking at Nottingham Forest January transfer window so far. Marcus Alley will be hosting that one. He's joined by Forest fan Des Oldham, and then at 4:00 it's the EFL Transfer Zone. Sam Rourke back in the hot seat for that one. He's joined by Chris Gallagher and Adam Jones. But from myself and Ben, thanks for joining us, everyone that's been watching. Ben, enjoy the rest of the transfer window and hopefully the rest of the season if you can. Well, I'm sure we'll get you back on the channel in the near future. And yeah, from us here, it's bye for now.